How to save your relationship. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Christine Loveridge and I am a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today we're going to be talking about how to save your relationship. So obviously there must be something going wrong in your relationship and things are turning sour. Perhaps the magic has gone, perhaps you're even separated from your partner right now. But here are a few ways that you can save your relationship. So the first thing that I want to get into is taking ownership of the relationship. So taking ownership doesn't necessarily mean taking the blame. The difference between taking ownership and taking the blame is that when you take ownership of the situation, you basically look back and see in what areas you could have done better. Whereas taking the blame is obviously like saying it's completely my fault. And sometimes maybe it is completely your fault, but obviously it's not always going to be your fault all of the time for things going wrong. So for example, let's say your partner is really angry at you and they're saying all of these nasty things, they're assigning blame to you and all this kind of stuff. How you react in this situation is you taking ownership, right? So if you react by also saying horrible things back at them and negative things, as you can see, that's not really going to solve the issue. That's not going to make the situation better. That's not going to give you a win-win situation. That's just going to make the situation worse. However, if you pull them aside and you say to them something like, can we please talk about this, more calmly, because I don't think this is going to solve the issue. And you say, I'm sorry that I did this and that, or whatever it is, and take ownership for your actions, and then see what happens. Because of what you want to do in those situations, you want to diffuse the anger and the sort of fieriness, shall we say. And as you can see, those two different situations are like worlds apart. There's one where you are just being angry back at them and all this kind of stuff, and then there's the other situation where you're trying to diffuse the situation. Now obviously all this comes down to right now is how you react, and you have complete ownership of how you react to things in your relationship, how you respond to good things, bad things. It doesn't matter what it is. You can either respond positively or you can respond negatively. And that is where your ownership of the relationship lies. So even if your partner is causing most of the problems and you feel like they are to blame for your relationship crumbling, how you respond and how you act is totally your responsibility. And that is why taking ownership of your relationship in this way is so important. You can't always be living in reaction to what your partner does, because when we are living in reaction, we are not thinking clearly. But if we think clearly, give ourselves a moment to be present, to see what's really going on, and to act more positively, that will help save your relationship. Because no matter how much you two argue at each other and throw insults at one another, it's not going to solve the issue. It's just going to make it worse. It's just going to make it worse. It's going to be all like, oh, but he said this and she said that. When you come from that place, like, oh, it's your fault because you did this, and they're like, no, it's your fault because you did this. It doesn't solve anything. It's just an endless cycle of annoying things. You need to take ownership of how you react. Come at these situations with a more calmer demeanor. And do that even if they never do. Do that even if they don't do that. Even afterwards they've thrown more barbs at you, they've said more insults or whatever. In that situation, you will still come across as the bigger person because you've acted more calmly, you've been more sensible about the situation, you've tried to act more positively, you haven't reacted in anger, you have tried to diffuse the situation the best you can, and you are now on the higher ground. You've taken ownership. You've taken ownership of your part. You've taken ownership of your emotions. So the first way to save your relationship is to take ownership. Not blame, ownership. So the second way to save your relationship is to continue to date each other. I talk about this so much on my channel, but it's so important to do the things you did at the beginning of the relationship, because, again, something I say all the time, the way you got your partner is the way you keep your partner. A good example of this actually is when one of my cousins said to me that she was feeling sad because her partner, at the beginning of their relationship, like within the first 6 months of their relationship, he took her to this cabin out in this forest. And she really enjoyed it. She really enjoyed that breakaway in that cabin. And she noticed as the relationship continued, he stopped taking her to doing these little holidays and stopped spending that time with her and stopped doing those things for her as the relationship progressed. And this made her feel sad. It made her feel like he didn't love her the same way that he loved her at the beginning of the relationship. And it seemed like his caring and thoughtfulness was one of the things that made her fall in love with him. Now, of course, things might happen during your relationship where perhaps you don't have as much money anymore to do those same things, but you can still date each other in other ways. Like you could have a picnic in your front room, you can still dress up with each other even though you're not going out. Or you can just go out for a walk or something. Just continue to date each other. And even if you don't have that much money, there are still budget ways that you can have dates and spend time with each other. And even if you have kids, it's really important that you still take that time for each other, even if it means that you have to bring the kids along with you. Another thing as well is, when you were probably dating each other to begin with, you probably went to different restaurants, you probably went and walked to different places, you probably went to different clubs, or you did different activities together. Make sure that you don't get stuck into the same old routine, like you go to the same restaurant each time, you order the same bottle of wine, or you go to the movies each time or something. Try and shake things up a bit and do things that are a bit different. So go to different places. So one of the things that me and my partner do, although if things have obviously been a little bit slow recently due to, everything that's happening in the world, but we would go out for walks and we'd go to different like country parks and all those kinds of things, because that's just our preferred method of, I guess, dating, because we're not really much of a party person, so we don't really want to go to clubs or anything like that. But if that's your lifestyle, then maybe try and do more of that now. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it on the same day either. Perhaps you can do one evening in the week, or perhaps you can do it on the weekend or not on the weekend, whatever it is. But just make sure that you switch it up sometimes, because if you get into a routine, it can get very, very boring. So make sure that you have some variety in your dates and in the things that you're doing. So a good exercise for you might be to look back at your relationship in the beginning and see what things that you used to do for your partner. So perhaps sometimes you would randomly buy your partner flowers, or you'd buy them a gift or something. Or perhaps you groomed yourself in a certain way. Perhaps you would wear different kinds of clothes and now you just sort of hang out in your sweatpants or whatever. So try and do the same things. Wear the same kind of clothes you used to wear. Do the same kinds of things. Those acts of service, those acts of love that you used to do for them at the beginning of the relationship. Because remember, if you did certain things to get your partner in the beginning, you need to carry on doing those things while you're in the relationship to keep your partner. So the third thing, another big thing I always talk about on my channel, and that is communication. Communicating effectively with one another. When your partner comes to you, it's important that you pay attention to them. It's important that you communicate with them and you ask them quality questions. So a good quality question is, what do you mean? Another good quality question is, how did that make you feel? Another good quality question is, what else? Asking good quality questions so your partner can tell you everything that's on their mind. Obviously, if your partner comes to you and they're like, oh, I had a really big argument with my boss, and you just go like, oh, that sucks or something, and you don't bring up any more questions like, what happened? Why did that happen? Or you just say, oh, I'm sorry, that must suck or something. Like, you have to keep on asking questions, because obviously if they've come to you to tell you about it, then obviously they want to talk about it in some way. So just ask them more questions. And that means turning off the TV, putting down your phone and looking at them and properly listening. And if for whatever reason you didn't hear what they said, or you don't remember what they said, or you're not sure, just ask them to say it again. All you have to say is, I didn't quite catch that. Can you please repeat it? That's all you have to do. Now, obviously, if you've got some bottled up resentment, or they have some bottled up resentment towards you, you need to get that out. Now, obviously, the best time to address a problem is at the beginning of the problem. So if they've done something to annoy you, you say it there and then that they've done something to annoy you and get it out. Because if you just stop and you let it slide and they keep on doing and repeating the same thing over and over again, and you don't say anything about it, and you just expect them to know what to do, that's just going to hoard resentment inside you. So it's important that you address the problem straight away while it's still small. Otherwise, it's just going to turn into one of those situations where it's an elephant in the room. And you don't want an elephant in the room, okay? If you want problems, you want to have them to be small problems. And the best way to tackle a small problem is when it happens, so it doesn't turn into a big problem in the future. So that's all well said and done. But what if your partner is hoarding resentment for you? So if you feel like they've been a bit off recently, or there's something you feel like that could be troubling them, that they're acting a little bit different towards you, or they're a bit sharp towards you or something, that is when you need to sit with them and ask them what's wrong and try and pull the information out of them. Because if they're behaving differently towards you, or they're being a bit bitter towards you for whatever reason, you need to get that out of them. You need to find out what it is, because they might be hoarding resentment as well, but you obviously don't want them to do that, because you know if they're hoarding resentment, it's just going to build up over and over. It's just going to build up over and over time. So you obviously don't want that to happen. So try and encourage your partner to tell you how they feel and what's going on in their head and what they're annoyed about and all that kind of stuff. Because if only one of you knows how to, get things out on the table quickly, it's not good enough. Both of you need to be doing this kind of thing. Both of you need to be saying what's on their mind when something happens that they don't like. You need to do that and address it straight away. I personally believe that relationships are a place to give. It's not somewhere, obviously there is like give and take in a relationship, but my most prominent thought is it's a place to give. So if I'm feeling any kind of resentment, or I'm feeling angry, or I'm feeling upset, or I feel like I'm not getting enough of XYZ or something, that triggers something into my brain saying, in this moment, I need to give more to my partner, because for whatever reason, I'm not in a place of giving. And when I'm not in a place of giving and I'm in a place of taking, I feel angry, I feel resentful, all that kind of stuff. But what I do is I've learned to notice when I'm feeling those emotions. And in this area, what I'm really wanting is I'm just really wanting more love. So if I give to my partner, and if I do that and I really do that switches on in my head, that usually resolves the situation straight away. So if you are feeling negatively towards your partner and you're thinking, oh, they don't do this for me, they don't do that, or whatever it is that you're thinking, instead switch it around and think about what you can give to your partner. Perhaps you can give them more of your time. Perhaps you can give them a longer hug or a longer kiss. Now, of course, there are going to be situations and there are going to be relationships that perhaps your partner just isn't a giver. They just take all the time. And obviously, if your partner's like that and it doesn't matter how much you give to them, they just never give back, obviously that might not be a relationship you want to stay in. Please give this video a like. Please subscribe, and if you would like a notification for each time I upload a video, then please hit the bell icon. If you would like help with your relationship and you would like coaching or mentoring, then please head over to www.christineloveridge.com/shop, or alternatively you can email me in the email provided in the description box. I hope this has helped you, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye, guys.